Greetings students, I am Ms. Kanika Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacy from Ramesh Institute of Vocational and Technical Education, Greater Noida. In the last lecture, we have talked about hospital and its organization. So this is the second lecture and we will talk about hospital pharmacy and its organization. So this is a topic in pharmacy practice, BP 703T. So in this presentation, we will talk about the introduction and definition of hospital pharmacy, what are the various functions of hospital pharmacy, followed by the organization structure of a hospital pharmacy, the location and layout, followed by what is the staff requirement of a hospital pharmacy, and again what are the various responsibilities and functions of a hospital pharmacist. To start with the introduction and definition, so what is a hospital pharmacy? So it is that department of the hospital which deals with the procurement, storage, compounding, dispensing, manufacturing, testing, packaging and distribution of the drugs. So it is that department in the hospital where all the drugs are being procured. Procured means that they are being bought and placed, they are stored, they are compounded, they are dispensed, they are manufactured and so on. So as you would be knowing that whenever a patient or whenever even an outpatient goes into the hospital, so the regular system is that, like, if a patient is suffering from any disease, he or she goes into the hospital and he go and sees a doctor. So what does a doctor do? Doctor generally writes a prescription where he writes all the name of the drugs that are supposed to be taken. So what does the patient do then? Patient goes to the hospital, finds a pharmacy and buys the drug. So that particular pharmacy is called as a hospital pharmacy. The pharmacy which is present in a hospital is a hospital pharmacy. But it is not as easy as it seems. So that is not just the only responsibility of the hospital pharmacy just to dispense drug. It is just one of the responsibility. So again, the practice of pharmacy within the hospital under the supervision of a professional pharmacist is what is called as hospital pharmacy. Right, the practice of pharmacy again in a hospital, it has to be within the hospital. It has to be within the hospital and under the supervision of a professional pharmacist. Only then it can be called as a practice of hospital pharmacy. Now let us talk about the functions of hospital pharmacy. So there are a number of functions that are performed by the hospital pharmacy. The most primary function is dispensing. Now what is dispensing? As you would all be knowing that dispensing is giving out the drug. Giving the drug to the patient is called as dispensing. So does the hospital pharmacist only dispense the drug to outpatient? So the answer is no. The hospital pharmacist dispenses the drug to a number of patients. So the primary one is obviously, yes, outpatient. So the patient who is not admitted into the hospital is given the drug by a hospital pharmacy. Right. Now imagine the case, if a patient is admitted in a hospital, so where does he get the medication from? Now if you and me are admitted, then we can imagine that a nurse will come and give us the medication. Now where that nurse is getting that medication? So she is also getting the medication from a hospital pharmacy only. So the patient who are admitted in the hospital are also getting the medication from hospital pharmacy only. Now medical and surgical supplies. For example, if a patient is scheduled for a surgery, so during the surgery there are a number of things that are required, like irrigation fluid is required, bandages are required, cotton swabs are required. So all these supplies will also be completed by a hospital pharmacy only. Right. And then we have laboratory supplies. To perform some tests, the laboratory technician would require a number of reagents, would require a number of chemicals. So who would be providing those chemicals and reagents? Hospital pharmacy would be providing those chemicals and reagents, right? Then we have ward ward floor stock supplies. So again, as we know that in a hospital, in a large hospital, we have a number of wards, and each ward has a specific station. So in that specific station, all the medications are being kept. So all the medications, when I say all the medications, so medications which are required by the patient who are presently admitted in that ward, so those medication would be kept in that specific ward, right? And along with those medication, a number of emergency medical supplies are also kept in the same ward. So obviously, if a patient, if any emergency situation occurs in that ward, so a nurse wouldn't have that much time to call up the hospital pharmacy and order that drug. So in that case, all the emergency drugs are beforehand kept in the ward. Then we have alcohol and narcotics. So when we talk about narcotics, now as we all know that Drug and Cosmetic Act of 1940 classifies narcotics under Schedule X. So for those drugs that are that are classified under Schedule X, a special treatment has to be done. A special care has to be taken when dispensing such medications. A different sort of documentation has to be done. So all of these things, all of the dispensing are done by what? Are done by hospital pharmacy. So let us check it once more. The dispensing of the drug to outpatient, dispensing of the drug to inpatient, then we have medical and surgical supplies, then we have laboratory supplies, we have floor stock supplies, we have alcohol and narcotics. So all of this dispensing is done by what? It is done by hospital pharmacy. Now moving on to the next function. The next function is purchasing and inventory control. It is purchasing and inventory control. Now from where is the hospital pharmacy getting the medication that it is dispensing? From where is it getting that? So obviously the hospital pharmacy is buying that medication from some place. So the hospital pharmacist, the chief pharmacist, the head of the hospital pharmacist always have a list of distributors that can provide the medication. So it is his responsibility to purchase that medication. A number of factors play a deep role in buying the medication, that from which vendor should it buy, should the hospital pharmacist buy the medication, what should be the cost, what is the quality that is promised, and what is the past experience as well. That also plays a major role. And again, there another important factor is that by what time would the medication be delivered. So these are the factors that have to be considered while purchasing a medication, right? Followed by inventory control. So what does inventory mean? The word inventory here means that the drugs that are kept in the storage. So the drugs that are kept in the storage for the next use. So we have to keep a tight check on the inventory, that what are the amount of drugs that are present, what is the type of the drug that is present in the inventory, and specifically what is the expiry date. Now we do not want the drugs to get expired, right? And that is just simply loss of money. If a drug is getting expired, that is simply loss of money. So to prevent that, we have to keep a very tight check on the inventory. What are the drugs that are being present in the inventory? Followed by, we always have to keep a check on the drugs which are present in the floor, in the ward. So we have to see, like in the last slide we have talked about that on the ward we always make sure that emergency drugs are always there. So we have to go and check that what are the drugs that are present, what is the amount of drug that is present, and what is the expiry date of the drugs that are present. So we have to keep a tab on which drug is present in the hospital, whether it is in the hospital pharmacy or whether it is on the floors and stocks and wards. So we have to always keep a inventory check. So now moving on to the third one. Third is statistics and report. So in this heading, statistics and report, it is the responsibility of the hospital pharmacy to make sure that all the documentation is being carried out. The hospital pharmacy always keeps a track that which medication is being used and how much it is being used. Now there are chances, like for example, a community is being suffering from a, let us say, communicable disease, right? So in that case, the hospital pharmacy would be procuring a lot amount of antibiotics, right? So a lot amount of disinfectants would be being sold. So hospital pharmacy have to keep a track on what is being sold out and how much amount is being sold out, right? Then we have manufacturing. Now manufacturing is a very important, it is it is a very important work, that it is a very important function of a hospital pharmacy in senses such as that a small hospital, let us say, when I am saying it is a small hospital, that means I am talking about a hospital which is 100 to 200 bed size. So a small hospital would not be taking under the function of manufacturing. Now what is manufacturing? Manufacturing can also be related with the word compounding. Manufacturing can also be related with the word compounding. So what happens is, when I am talking about compounding or when I am talking about manufacturing, I am talking about a tertiary level care hospital. A tertiary level care hospital, these are specified hospitals. So let us take an example of a cancer hospital, right? So in a cancer hospital, we know that a patient takes medication, the patient is administered medication at a very specific doses. Now you cannot play with the doses, you cannot make mistakes when you are giving the dose to a cancer patient, because all the medications are very potent, they have to be, the therapy has to be maintained, the dose has to be maintained, because the side effects that are faced by a cancer patients are already enormous. So to make sure, what we do is that we compound the medication, we compound the doses. That means we have an amount of dose which is available in the market, and then we have another amount, and we have to make something, we have to make a middle dose out of it. So this whole process is called as what? It is called as manufacturing of the dose. It is called as what? It is called as manufacturing of the dose. So this manufacturing is simply not done by any small hospital, it is done by only specialized hospital which requires compounding. So this is a very important function of a hospital pharmacy. Again, as you can see, the manufacturing can be done of large or small volume of parenterals. So parenterals, whenever I am talking about parenterals, I am talking about an aseptic area, I am talking about the highest level of quality that one can maintain. So it is the responsibility of hospital pharmacy to have a specific aseptic area for the production of parenterals, because then parenterals are directly injected into the body. So we need to have them, we need to make them in an area that is totally free of microorganisms. So this requires for another specific responsibility of a hospital pharmacy, right? Then we have surgical irrigation fluid, we have bulk manufacturing. So there are times when we have to manufacture the drug in bulk. Moving on, then we have teaching. That is the fifth responsibility, that is teaching. So as you can recall from the Code of Pharmaceutical Ethics, it is the responsibility of the hospital pharmacist to teach his apprentice, to teach the apprentice pharmacist. That is it is the responsibility of the hospital pharmacy to give the appropriate skills, to give the appropriate knowledge to the hospital pharmacist. It is his responsibility to make sure that all the trainees, all the budding pharmacists that are taking a training in the hospital gets the appropriate knowledge, gets the appropriation skill. So thereby it is well understood that the hospital pharmacist himself should be having a appropriate amount of knowledge and skills, so that he can pass it on to his apprentices. Then we have research. This is the sixth responsibility. So research is that the hospital pharmacist should be aware about what are the latest developments that are being held in the field of pharmacy. He should be aware of what are the latest methods that are used for manufacturing of large volume parenterals and small volume parenterals. So he has to keep abreast with all the latest mechanisms of packaging, what are the latest ways by which he can manufacture the drug, right? So these are all the researches that the hospital pharmacy should be keep abreast with. Then we have storage. Then again, if we am talking about storage, as we all know that storage is very specific. Why? Because a number of medications are such that when the storage conditions are not maintained, they get spoiled, they get inappropriate for use. So we always have to make sure that the storage condition of each and every drug is being met. So if a drug requires to be stored in a dark area, dark room, so it is the again the responsibility of hospital pharmacy to ensure that that drug is being kept in a dark area. And then there are drugs which require storage in very less temperature, very cold temperature. So again, to arrange a cold storage room, it is the responsibility of whom? It is the function of whom? So it is the function of a hospital pharmacy. Then we have control. Now this control goes hand in hand with the manufacturing. This control goes hand in hand with manufacturing. So when I say control, control means that whatever the amount of whatever the manufacturing that hospital pharmacy is doing, so it is supposed to be get checked again. So there is quality control. A number of parameters would be tested to check whether the quality of the product that they are making, the quality of the product that they are compounding is being met, and it does not offer any harmful effect to the patient. So these are all the functions of hospital pharmacy. Let us just go through them once again. So first one is dispensing to outpatient, inpatient, medical and surgical supplies. We have laboratory supplies, we have floor stock supplies, and alcohol and narcotics, right? Then we have purchasing and inventory control, we have talked about it. We have statistics and report. Then we have manufacturing and compounding. Then we have teaching. Then we have research. Then we have storage, and then we have control. So these are all the functions of hospital pharmacy. Now this slide shows the organization structure of a hospital pharmacy. Now as you can see, there is an administrator. Now as we have read, as we have studied in the last lecture, that who is the administrator or the topmost level person in the hospital? He is the MS. He is the MS or the medical superintendent. Or the medical superintendent. Now the head of the pharmacy services, the head of the hospital pharmacy directly reports back to the MS. He directly reports back to the MS. Now as we can see side by side that to be a hospital pharmacist, to be the head of the hospital pharmacist, you at least need to have a post graduation. You need to have a post graduation. Now this head of pharmacy services, or the head or the chief, we can also call him the chief of hospital service, hospital pharmacy, CHEIF. So we can call him the chief of hospital pharmacy. So this chief is also called as again the head of the hospital pharmacy, and he has a number of hospital pharmacists working under him. So let us take them one by one. So the first one is dispensing chemist. As you can see, the dispensing chemist is the one who dispenses the medication. Then we have specific different dispensing chemists for inpatient and outpatient. We will not have a same dispensing chemist for inpatient and outpatient. So there are two different chemists for dispensing drugs to inpatient and outpatient. Now as you can see, to be a dispensing chemist, you at least need to have a diploma in pharmacy. You at least need to have what? A diploma in pharmacy, right? Then we have a manufacturing chemist. We have read about it, manufacturing and compounding. So a manufacturing chemist is the person who compounds the medication, and again these are only present in a tertiary level or high level of hospitals. So a manufacturing chemist a manufacturing chemist who manufactures specifically the IV fluids, would be at least a B Pharm or a M Pharm. That means he need to have either graduation or post graduation. And why is that? Because he at least needs to have the skills that are required for the production of IV fluids. So again, nobody else, not a diploma person, can manufacture the IV fluids because the IV fluids, the manufacturer needs to have the idea of what is an aseptic room. He needs to have the skill, he needs to have the experience to manufacture IV fluids. And then for the other manufacturing of stuffs like irrigation fluids and things like that, we need to have another manufacturing chemist that can be simply a graduate. Then we have a clinical pharmacist. Now, who is the clinical pharmacist? A clinical pharmacist is that person who is responsible for counseling the patient. His major responsibility is to counsel the patient. Now, a clinical pharmacist is typical on is very common when he is going on rounds with the doctors to the wards. Right, he can discuss the medication that is being given. He can discuss that medication with the doctor. He has extra responsibility of counseling the patient regarding the medication that the patient is getting. It is his responsibility to tell the patient that what are the series of side effects that he or the patient can experience, right. So this is a clinical pharmacist. The minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree, followed by a quality control pharmacist. Quality control pharmacist again goes hand in hand with the manufacturing chemist. He goes hand in hand with the manufacturing chemist. So a clinical quality control pharmacist will check the product that a manufacturing chemist is producing. Will check the product that a manufacturing chemist is producing. Then we have medical store pharmacist. Then we have what? Then we have a medical store pharmacist. Now it is his responsibility to check all the things. It is his responsibility to make sure that each and every drug is getting the appropriate storage that is required. It is the responsibility of the medical store pharmacist. Again, the minimum qualification is a bachelor's degree or at least a diploma in pharmacy. Now moving on to the location, as you can all remember, as you can all recall, that a hospital pharmacist is a hospital pharmacy is always located on the ground floor. And why is that? It is because that whenever, let us take an example, that if a patient is going to the doctor, he is getting his prescription written and he wants to take the medication. So obviously we want that that specific outpatient should not hamper the working of the hospital. He should not hamper the whole working of the hospital, and that is why, specifically that is why we always make sure that the hospital pharmacy is as far from the main working of the hospital. So it is, therefore it is always located on the ground floor. It should always have a very great appearance. It should have a great aesthetics. It should always have a seating area for the people. This is a typical layout of the hospital pharmacy. As you can see, this is the passage. Now this passage is not for the patient. This passage is for the hospital pharmacist. Now as you can see, this is the dispensing area. This is the dispensing area, and we have counters. So we have counter number 1, we have 2, 3 and 4 counters. Now this is just an example, obviously, and this is the open space wherein the patients are waiting. So the patients wait here, they take the medication from the counters. Now this is the whole other area which a patient doesn't see. So what do we have? Just beside the dispensing area, we have the administrative section. In this administrative section, the whole documentation process is being carried out in this section. Then we have on the above hand, on the just after the passage, we have a manufacturing section. Now manufacturing section is the area where obviously all the compounding is being done, and then we have aseptic section wherein the compounding of all the IV fluids is being done. So this is the whole different area, right? And then we have raw material, then we have storage area and the storage area of the finished products as well. So this is a typical layout of a hospital pharmacy. What are the staff requirement? The staff requirement of a hospital pharmacy is generally according to the size of the hospital. If the size of the hospital is big, it is a large hospital, then the number of hospital pharmacists required would also increase. Again, if the size is high, the number of the requirement of hospital pharmacy would also increase. Now as you can see in this slide, if a hospital is of size up to like 50 beds, then the number of hospital pharmacists required are 3, right? And if the size of the hospital is of 100 bed, it is a small hospital with 100 beds, then at least 5 hospital pharmacists should be there. Again, as you can see, as the number of beds are increases, so is the number of pharmacists are also increasing. So again, 200 beds, we need at least 8 pharmacists. 300 beds, we need at least 10 hospital pharmacists, and if there are 500 beds, then we require at least 15 hospital pharmacists at present in the hospital. Now let us talk about what are the various responsibilities and functions of a hospital pharmacy. So to start with technical ability, the hospital pharmacist need to have the whole technical ability. He needs to know what are the various ways in which compounding can be done. He should be good with the measurements, right? Then moving on to the ability to develop a manufacturing area. So hospital pharmacist needs to take care of the hospital manufacturing area. He needs to have a whole aseptic room for the preparation of IV fluids, right? Then we have administrative ability. It is the responsibility again of the chief hospital pharmacist to make sure that the people or the other pharmacy staff he is hiring is capable of working. Then it is his responsibility to make sure that all the trainee pharmacists that are working in his pharmacy are getting the appropriate skills and the knowledge. Then moving on to ability to control inventory. This is a very important responsibility of the hospital pharmacy, because if this part is not taken care of properly, then again there would be a whole loss of money and energy in maintaining the inventory and losing the control over it. So the again next point is ability to conduct and participate in research, followed by ability to conduct teaching programs. So these are all the responsibilities and functions of a hospital pharmacist. So in this presentation we have talked about what is a hospital pharmacy, how a hospital pharmacy works, what is the location, layout and the number of pharmacists that are required, and in the last we have talked about what are the various responsibilities of a hospital pharmacist. Thank you so much.